Hi, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade leaders. We're preparing for March 7th in our series called Because He Lives. In this series, we're taking a look at Holy Week. And last week, we celebrated Jesus' entry into Jerusalem on the donkey. Today, we're going to be looking at what happened after that through the book of Matthew, Mark, and Luke. And what we're looking at is Jesus was questioned. The religious leaders of the time, which is crazy, right after they celebrated him, they questioned him. Like they wanted to trick him. They wanted to stump him. They wanted to put him in a place where he would make a mistake so that they could prove to everybody else that he was not all that they made him out to be. Possibly jealousy, who knows, that what's spurring that. But what we do know is that this happened. And what they were asking him is, what is the greatest commandment? And what they were trying to get him to do, although he was Jesus, God, was to say something that they could say, aha, see, he's not everything he says he is. But because he's Jesus God, he saw through all of that and obviously kind of gave it back to them by encouraging them to look past the law and all of the rules that they were supposed to follow and to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, with all your strength, and to love others as you love yourself. And Jesus kind of like took everything that God had ever said to the Israelites about how they are supposed to do life, and he like elevated it. He put it at another level. Like, not only are you supposed to do these things, this is the why behind why you're supposed to do these things. Because when you exhibit my love, you are showing people who I am. And so, obviously, Jesus was not stumped and was able to handle tricky questions with wisdom. And there's so many times in our lives where I know I pray for wisdom. Daily, I pray for God, please give me wisdom to know what I need to do, what you have called me to do, and help me to do only what I can do in certain situations. And we can learn from Jesus, not only that he had that wisdom, but that he desires for us to go to him to seek that wisdom as well. And so in your small group activities today, you're going to do some things to help kids understand. First off, it's good to have big questions. There's nothing wrong with that. And second, by having these big questions, that we have tools and we have resources available to us to help us find those answers. And so before you get there, though, you have some fun activities to do with your kids. You have a giant egg filled with some prizes. And this is one of your social activities. You can choose one of two social activities to do with your kiddos. You also, with that egg, you have a script that looks like this. What you're supposed to do is get your kids to get in a circle, and you can sit around the table. That's fine. And when you say the word right, they're going to pass the egg to their right. When you say the word left, they're going to pass the egg to the left, and whoever has the egg at the end. And you can decide this before you play the game. Either they can have all of the prize, or there's plenty in the egg for each kid to get one of everything that's in one each of what is in the egg. And then you can decide. There's probably going to be a few extras in there, just because we plan for a crowd when we plan. The other game you have some bunny feet that you can put on the floor to mark where kids stand so that they can toss the rings onto the fun bunny ears that are on a cone. The cone's there just to stabilize the bunny ears. All of these games, we'd like to hold on to all of the supplies because this is a game that we're going to continue to play throughout the series. And so if you can hold on to the supplies but have fun, remember these social games are so you can build relationships with kids. When we have new kids join us, which we have had every week since I have been in children's ministry, we have had new families join us. And because we have new kids with us regularly, we need to continue to have our groups open and available so that those kids can come in and connect with everybody as well. And so when you have a game that doesn't require skill or knowledge before you get there, then everybody has a shared experience. When everybody has a shared experience, they have something to laugh and talk to each other about, begin to build relationships. And once you begin to build relationships, you build trust. And once you have trust, then you can share big things like we're talking about in our Bible story today. All right, and then your small group activity for today, you have a roll of paper that you can put on your wall, or you can leave it on your table until you're done with whatever you're going to put on your paper, because maybe you want the kids to help draw a mural, or however you want to do that. It doesn't really matter what it looks like on the paper. It just having the big piece of paper helps you see it big. And you also have some index cards. What you're going to do is you get to, as the leader, pick 3 of these topics. You'll see in parentheses the topic, and write, did I say 3? You're going to pick 4. You're going to pick 4 of these topics and write the Bible verse on your big piece of paper. Then you're going to get the kids to help you look those things up in the Bible and talk about how you think those things help answer the question of how we deal with anxiety or anger, or who the Holy Spirit is, or how to have right relationships with our parents. And so you can I just randomly picked those. I don't know that those are the most important to me. I just randomly picked some, but you can choose those 4. And then on their index cards, allow kids to write some questions that they have about faith, about God, about Jesus, about the Bible, about the Holy Spirit, about any of the next steps that they're learning about. Let them write those on those index cards. They can they'll put their name and their first and their last name on the index card. If you want to answer it, you are welcome to answer that, or you feel like you can answer that with some biblical backing behind it, feel free to do that. If you don't feel like you can, put those questions in the box and tell the kids that our Parkway staff is going to take some turns answering those questions and mail those cards back to the kids so that they get their questions answered. And we will keep that anonymous. We don't have to know who, except for that, so that we can mail it back to them. We need to know who the question came from, but we're not going to go share that or broadcast that to anybody unless there is an issue with safety that we are concerned about. And so all questions are good questions, and we want kids to know that throughout our lives, all of us have had questions. In fact, I know there was a time in my life where I really questioned how Jesus could be God and man and good, honestly, because all I was beginning to see was lots of bad around me, and I wanted to believe it, but I didn't know how to believe it. And so God, through the series of a whole lot of events in my life, was able to help answer that question for me. And more than anything, the answer to that question for me was, I need you to trust me. I need you to trust me, even though you may not have the answer to all of these questions. I need you to trust me because as you continue to grow in me, you are going to see this in a very different way. And I can tell you throughout my entire life, that has been a constant thing that I have had to sit back and realize that I needed to trust first before I could have some of my questions answered. So that's definitely how God has worked in my life. Maybe you have a different story and you can share that with the kids. By us sharing those stories, then I think it gives everybody understanding that we don't all have it all figured out and that we are all in a journey together to know who God is, to understand the big truths of the Bible, and to understand it at a different level as we continue to grow throughout our lives. So hopefully through this activity, you get the chance to have that conversation with the kids. And I know they're little, but they also have questions. And many of them, if they've been with us for any time, they might have some really good questions that we need to consider answering to help them process through that. Your discussion questions are really good too. So I encourage you that if you kind of get stumped and everybody's like, I don't know, maybe throw in some of those discussion questions and see if that helps spark a conversation that helps get you to those questions that kids have. Your key passage activity, you have a puzzle that the kids can put together, and then you can use the highlighted words and give emphasis to certain words through your key passage. Remember, our key passage is there to help remind us that we go to the Bible as our source of understanding God's who God is, what He commands of us, and everything we need to know. And so by linking parts of the Bible to each other, we are beginning to see that the Bible is all connected. It's not just a whole bunch of short stories. It all is connected to help us understand who God and Jesus is. I think that's it for today. Thank you so much for leading. I love you guys. I'll see you soon.